Hey everyone, it's Mr. Jonathan. Welcome to our Good Friday Good News for Kids. I miss you guys, but I'm excited to do this Good News for Kids for you today. So, like I said, today is Good Friday, and the reason why we celebrate Good Friday is because we are remembering the day that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. And what Pastor Brian is going to talk about is that one of the things that Jesus accomplished on Good Friday was that by overcoming our sins for us, he enabled us to be able to put to death our old selves, and we can live with our new selves. This is talked about in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 22 through 24. It says, "You were taught, with regard to your former way of life, to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." So what this means is that before we knew Jesus, and before anyone knows Jesus, we live life for ourselves. We have this old self that is selfish, and we're not thinking about God. We're not thinking about others. We're only thinking about what we want and what makes us feel good. When we become Christians, God puts to death in us our sin, and he clothes us with his righteousness. And we are now a new creation within him. That he is transforming our hearts and our minds to become more and more like him until one day we get to be with him in glory, in heaven and eventually the new earth. So I kind of came up with a little example for you guys that I thought might be helpful. So before we know Jesus, we are kind of like a caterpillar, right? We are just a little caterpillar going around and thinking selfishly and living for ourselves. But when we know Jesus and when we accept Jesus into our hearts and start living for him, it's like we are now a caterpillar in a cocoon. We are clothed in Jesus's righteousness, and we no longer have our old self anyway, but we are being transformed to look more and more like Jesus. So our old self is put aside, and we have our new self that is in this cocoon that is surrounded by Jesus's righteousness. Eventually, one day when we are reunited with Christ, we are going to be like a butterfly, completely with a new body, made new in him. So we, before knowing Jesus, had an old self, but we celebrate Good Friday because we no longer have to live selfishly. We can live for Jesus, loving God, and loving others. So today, one of the things that we celebrate on Good Friday is Jesus' sacrifice that enables us to put to death our old selves, take on our new selves, and live for him. I hope that my caterpillar illustration helps you guys out when you're thinking about why we celebrate Good Friday and the transformation that Jesus does in our hearts. Again, I love you guys. I miss you. And I hope that you and your families are blessed today on Good Friday. Bye.